right, welcome everybody to Dave Cooper Live, where we bring the industry leaders together with the people, the products, and the processes to help them all build it better. And today is no different. Welcome to the architectural revolution, a journey where imagination meets engineering prowess, where dreams of sustainable living become tangible realities. How, you may ask? We're talking about advanced wall framing. Yes, baby, off-site construction in the house. A B.Public Prefab house to be exact. This team is crafting lifestyles, shaping communities, redefining the very essence of modern living. In a world constantly evolving, where sustainability is not just a buzzword, but a necessity, they stand as pioneers at the crossroads of eco-consciousness and cutting-edge design. Their ethos is simple, yet profound. Marry innovation with functionality, blend sustainability with style, deliver solutions that transcend mere buildings to become icons of progress. Meet these catalysts for connection, explore their hubs of creativity and sanctuaries for the soul. Edie, Dillman, and Jonah Stanford will be joining us right after a word from these sponsors. Forward Solutions Group is successfully driving companies to succeed where others have failed. Are you looking to start a factory? Optimize your existing factory, streamline your production, or take your team to the next level? Whatever your needs are, Forward has a solution for you. Reach out to Ben at forwardsolutionsgroup.com. Halleck Ltd. has a long history of innovation in cold form steel manufacturing and producing innovative precision roll forming technology for customers throughout the United States and the world. Check out their machine buyer's guide for off-site modular construction or fast build construction with light steel for framing. Go to their website, halleckltd.com. Brought to you by Greatech, one of the largest Autodesk partners globally and software developer of the PowerPack Advanced Design, Advanced Steel, and the StruxSoft product line. The complete solution to automate wood and light gauge steel framing, design, and documentation all the way out to CNC output. Model, design, and manufacture with StruxSoft. Learn more at StruxSoftSolutions.com. All right, again, we can't do any of this without all these sponsors of ours and their supporting members. So make sure you go say thank you to all of them for allowing us to bring all these innovative conversations to you, like the one we're about to have. Let's bring Edie and Jonah onto the stage. Edie and Jonah, how are you?
Great, Dave.
Great, Dave.
Yeah,
the man, the legend, Dave Cooper Live. It's great to see you.
You know what? I don't know about all that, but it is definitely great to see you. You all are putting in the hard work, and I have to tell you, you have not been a stranger to our show before. But the advancements you guys are making from when you started to where you are today is incredible. You were on the big stage at the International Builders Show last year. You had a big booth there this year. And people are really starting to understand the value proposition that you guys have put together for them and loving it. On top of training the world while we're at it. I don't know how you do it, but guess what? We don't want to talk about that right now. We want to know how you got into all this. Architects, engineers, I don't know, draftsmen. Tell us a little bit about the background of how this all came about, and then we're going to get into it because we have some new advanced wall framing stuff we're going to talk about as well. So there's a lot to cover, only a few moments to do it, so go for it.
Thanks, Dave. Yeah, we've done a lot since we launched in 2020. I'd like to blame Jonah here for instigating this company. It was a technology and a wall system that was generated out of Jonah's architecture practice and really looking for ways to bring high performance to many more projects more easily and provide a solution to builders who wanted to complete more projects per year. And we launched the company really directed at high performance homes. So housing creation, sort of facing the challenges of the housing crisis, along with the climate crisis, and then kind of trying to address the workforce crisis in the trade. So we are a mission-based company with products and services. We have a full design studio. And then Jonah's sitting in our manufacturing facility in Las Vegas, New Mexico. So I'm in Santa Fe, New Mexico. This is where the company was founded. And we started up our own manufacturing last year, adding to our distributed manufacturing partners across the country. So a lot going on every day here.
So wait a minute. You said partners across the country. I can't wait to dive into this because, like I said, when I say you guys came a long way, that one even just knocked my socks off, and I got pretty big socks. So Jonah, you're sitting in your new facility in Las Vegas, not the Las Vegas we all think, though, because I made that mistake earlier. Tell us what that facility does.
Yeah, this facility, it's around just over 10,000 square feet, and we do a lot of both production for projects in our mountain region. We try to produce projects within 500 miles of the site. So we have 5 different facilities that producing B.Public assemblies. One of them is out of our own shop, and then the other 4 partner manufacturers. But we have a really strong belief in really regionally trying to produce for projects to reduce, carbon impacts as well as shipping costs. So at our shop here, we do a lot of R&D with new assemblies that we're looking at. So we test them out from a production and installation perspective first here at this shop. And then we also develop some of our tools for panel handling and as here at this shop first. And then we also host our installer training or assembly training here at this shop. So quarterly, we invite builders from all over the country that come in, and we do OSHA hoisting and rigging, crane signal person, as well as building science orientation, and looking at different bidding processes or admin processes that are different for prefab or offsite construction that they're maybe used to. So really training. And a lot of times we're training good framing subcontractors to be the new, high performance installer.
Oh, we lost him.
We lost him.
That was perfect timing. Good. We got rid of him. Let's get on to the real juicy stuff now. So Edie, we'll wait. I'll see if Jonah comes back. I'll watch in the background. But listen, there's a lot of wall panel systems out on the market. I mean, panels have been around forever. A lot of the big developers have been using panels. Explain to everybody watching why the way you're doing panels, which is very different than how we used to do it, is so important, and where the value is in these panels. And then I want to get into exactly what they are.
Yeah, we are different. You just mentioned IBS, and of the 1,800 exhibitors, we had a lot of people come to us and say, there's nothing else here like B.Public. We are in a field of great colleagues and competitors in prefab systems. Ours is very specifically designed using wood and natural fibers. So each of our panels is fully insulated, and that includes our roof panels, our floor panels, and the wall panels all come with dense packed cellulose to site. And really, we're geared towards the best performance we can provide a project. This system was designed to satisfy Passive House certifications. So we're certainly helping lots of people get to net zero. And we're doing that with carbon appropriate materials. And you can see behind me, they're all wrapped in weather barrier on the outside. And then on the inside, there's a high performance air barrier. So we're getting to that air tightness that's so difficult on site, and really providing Lego like blocks to construct a building. But that also means we're offering systems for people to design and repeat high performance with those consistent standard components.
Yeah, got it. And guess who's back? Hey,
No
Jonahs is
way.
back. Hey, listen, that's the fun part of doing these shows, right? Technology is always an interesting thing. So, with the system and Lego blocks, you were serious on it. Are we talking about floor, walls, and roof? Are we just talking about walls? And how far do you take the wall panel? Is it MEPs? Is it just high performance? Help us understand that. And Jonah, if you want to touch on that a little bit, feel free.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have several series or each of those assemblies. So we just launched, our R30. So we have 3 wall assemblies now, ranging from an R30 up to an R52, and then 2 different roof assemblies, and then 1 wall floor cassette. So and all of those are using a service cavity on the inside. So none of the MEP is being installed in our assemblies. There's just full access to the interior face of our assemblies for those things to be mounted, which we found for residential construction, which is primarily our market that we're serving, like that, there's a lot of resilience that is just mandated from the residential market and design process. And so we found that that's really the best approach to maintain that flexibility that builders and architects really need when they're adopting, offsite construction. And sometimes it's sort of an appropriate incremental step right there. Right. So having a really predictable thermal envelope and structure and performance, airtightness, acoustics, all those things that are in place, but really allowing a lot of resilience when it comes to those MEP locations.
All right, so Jonah, you're going to head back to production. And Edie, what's your thoughts on all of this?
Well, I'd just like to add that, this product line and our company is designed to assist architects and builders to build more to a higher performance level. So I think important that we're different than some, panelizers or our modular companies. This is a tool for builders to specify. And the result is they're ordering, they're placing 1 order, 1 delivery, and 1 install for a series of sequences on site. So being able to get the framing up, but it's also fully insulated, weather wrapped, and ready to go. And we're doing this with architects and developers from tiny single family homes up to 3-story apartment buildings. So there's just it's like a 2x4. It's got a lot of flexibility and a lot of uses.
Well, and everybody is working towards, the new energy code, sustainability, decarbonization, all of these different things. And the bigger builders out there and developers, they got to get there as well. And you guys have a solution that they can actually tap into and start using, especially if you're going to have production facilities all over the place. And then I would even go as far to think that they would love to not have to have manufacturing facilities everywhere. They would love to have partners that could actually be the producers of these systems for them. Is that accurate?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, a lot of the larger developers that we're talking about, our program with them is we'll do, 2 to 5 units to pilot so that they can really start selling or talking about building to this level. And then we will, either ourselves or in partnership, stand up manufacturing for that 4,000, unit housing development. That really is our plan, is, to localize it as much as possible. Part of that, Dave, is that we believe that we need to find ways to pull more people into the trades. Yeah. And by bringing people into a shop facility and train them and pay them to be trained, we're creating permanent skills in those communities. So it doesn't make sense to us that we would hold all of that knowledge just in our facility, but that's what we want to spread and help facilitate kind of bringing things back to what the production we need.
I'm so happy to hear you say that, because I will tell you now, Edie, everybody out there in the manufacturing of offsite space will say, well, we have the secret sauce, or we're not going to give up our IP, and we're ... just to come to find out, there is so much room for all of us to grow together. And if people haven't looked around at everybody sleeping in tents and on the streets, the way we've been doing it in the past does not work. It has not been working, and the affordability is not there. So the fact that you're willing to say, hey, yeah, we put it all together. I mean, we still have our proprietary stuff, but we want to share it with everybody and find a way to collaborate and make this available to all who want it. I think that's commendable. Well
Thanks,
done.
Dave. Thank you. And we love improving what we do from the input of the people that we're working with, whether that is an architect or a builder or somebody who's, on our shop floor or working at one of our partner facilities. This is a collaboration. We are really trying to solve things. And I appreciate that you pointed out there are things that we want to be protective of, but mostly we would just want to get people jazzed and involved and start building more and make sure that's healthy and good for the environment. And that we just, start to meet some of these crises with like joy, right? We can add joy to the work.
I agree with you. So I love it. And hey, if we can't have fun, nobody's going to want to work with us. So, hey, Jonah's back there. Hey, Jonah, welcome back to the party.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a little bit colder back here, but I'm okay for the time being.
Yeah. Well, you're in New Mexico. Isn't it warm in New Mexico? Everybody thinks they hear New Mexico, they think warmth, but it's not, is it?
No, I mean, we're at 7,600 feet here. So, it's similar to Colorado. We've got actually the same heating degree days as Chicago. Nobody believed that. We just have an awful lot of sun, but it's a high altitude desert. So temperatures definitely get low. Yeah.
So, Jonah, you're sitting in your production facility, right? You have a couple locations, like you said, now, and but this is the one that you're working out of currently. Tell us a little bit about, there's the wall assembly, right? And then there's the advanced wall assembly, which is, I think that's the, maybe is that the 2.0 wall assembly, or maybe there's differences in that reason you use them for different things. But, Jonah, can you tell us a little bit about what is behind you and talk to us about how this whole framing assembly works, and I want to get into how you set these things as well.
Yeah, thanks. So the newer wall assembly that we just came out with is really targeted to, a lot of multifamily projects are needing, to meet our ICC 2023 and 24 code still, but in mountain region certainly, but then also looking at wanting to maintain, consistency in what they've already designed for a wall thickness. And so that thinner R30 wall is really meant to be sort of a gateway for projects going into prefab, but it's really maintaining a lot of our the existing high quality performance and vapor control, service cavity, fully adhered weather barrier, all those things that really the detailing basically that makes or breaks a high performance wall assembly in a lot of ways. So, and what Edie was talking about a little bit too, about looking at what are ways that we can set up or facilitate setting up regional manufacturing that might be there for 1 or 2 years or something like that. So a lot of times we're looking at, from a manufacturer's perspective, we're looking at how can we reduce sort of the entry costs into manufacturing, looking at how can we optimize training procedures and so forth. We're really training craftsmanship rather than programming. So really creating resilient jobs within that region. And part of it, like what I wanted to show you, Dave, is we've got a device that that behind us that's really, most of the time we're having to flip panels that are weighing, up to 3,500 pounds or something like that. And a lot of time that equipment for being able to rotate wall panels and just material handling for prefabrication is a huge aspect or cost to a factory setup. And so behind us, what we've done is we've developed what we call the panel rotisserie. And what it's designed to do is be able to rotate panels, up to 24 feet long and 8 foot wide standards, just really easily by like one person being able to rotate panels so that we can work on them for greater aerodynamics, and then also just quality control becomes so much easier that I'm able to, just to move these panels around really easily at this point. And And I can work on them from this perspective and so forth. And all those little things, just reducing that or making panel movement easier can just be a tremendous benefit to the smaller shops. So.
You know what? So there's two things. I'm writing down some notes here feverishly as you guys are talking. The first thing I want to touch on is what you said before, right? You're teaching craftsmanship. And when we say craftsmanship, it's almost a lost skill that's out there because the devil's in the detail when it comes to high performance. Mm-hmm. It's not hard stuff, but you have to understand the science behind it. And if you understand the science behind it, you can take any, tradesman, layman, whatever we want to call them. And as long as you teach them the basics, the rest will come naturally. And what you guys are saying is, listen, if you got developers out there, this is the way I see it, right? They're building, tens of thousands of homes across the country. There's no way they can have a training program that's so good that they can get that high performance on every job, everywhere they're at, right? Unless they had this humongous training, facilities around the world. You guys are actually taking all of that and saying, listen, not only are we taking the training and the facility, we're bringing all the high performance experts under one roof. They're training our trades who are working in a controlled environment, and we're going to deliver you consistency each and every time. So you meet the codes, you pass the energy inspections. And by the way, you're not dealing with customers complaining about mold and mildew because something wasn't flashed right. Did I hit all the right things? Did I miss something?
Yeah, I would say another important aspect is that, over time, things are going to happen on site, right? Just things happen, right? Whether it's off site, regardless of how well things are planned. And so if you've trained your people that are working in the field around intent, building science, the relationship of a weather barrier to a vapor barrier, then when they need to go into those walls to address and adjust something, that's all able to be done. And it's not a problem. You know what I mean? That it really can be done well, and that performance is able to be maintained. So I think there's a durability, a longevity aspect of benefits to training that intent that also in turn really reduces, the longer assemblies can be in the field and performing well, that means their carbon footprint is going down every year as well. And so I think that's an important part of it as well. It's just that overall durability of an assembly.
So moving to the simplified, instead of using a scissor table or anything like that, the gantry that you showed us is behind you. I guess, is it called a gantry or what do they call it? I don't even know.
We call it a panel spit.
It's a panel spit?
Yeah.
Got it.
It's like a rotisserie.
Yeah, it is like a rotisserie, right?
Yeah.
Without the pig.
Yeah.
All right. So you have the panel spit. You're taking a low-cost solution and adapting it to make it a very productive manufacturing line that's scalable, movable, and you do not end up with the overhead that some of these other companies have with all the big, heavy equipment on the assembly line. Diversity, Edie, when I look at stuff like that, I've lifted the panels. I mean, they're not heavy, but they're also, you're not lifting that big panel by yourself, right? It allows for more diversity in the workforce. And Edie, I would think for you to go back there, even you can go spin the wheel and move stuff around, no matter how big, small, male, female, it doesn't matter.
No, absolutely, Dave. That's a big part of it. We need to attract more people, more diverse people into the workforce. And into the trades. Certainly from my own experience, I wouldn't feel comfortable walking on to a job site and asking for an entry-level job and ending up sweeping for 2 years. But I can imagine walking into our facility and going to the front desk and asking questions about work there and being able to tour and see what all the different positions are within the company. It makes it very accessible. It makes it available to people who need flexibility, whether they're going to school or they're taking care of family. And I think we have learned, which has been a wonderful gift around the workforce aspect of our company, is we're also able to retain very experienced builders for longer. People are retiring in droves. We're going to lose a huge I think 30% of the skills trade in the next 10 years. And if we bring them inside where it's nice and warm, and they have predictability about paycheck, we get to retain all of that talent. So merging that, like the newbies coming in and then the expertise that we want to hold on to for as long as possible and pay them for their expertise, we're trying to hit it all and really create happy workplace. Our staff is really happy. They're thinking like we do in solving things. It's a really great environment.
It is a great environment. It's always sunny and 70 in a manufacturing facility versus being on a sill plate, right? Where it's super cold. I know it's a little chilly in the factory there, but I'm sure in the heat of summer, people appreciate that, Jonah. So let's talk about this wall assembly. I know you have some other things you want to show, Jonah. And then what I want to do is I want to wrap up the training that you guys are doing, because you're not only just creating the panels, you're training people from being craftsmen within the manufacturing facility. You're also training on sets and how do you move these things around? How do you set them? How do you do them in the right order? How do you get that consistent, constant process in place, not only in the factory, but all the way through the delivery and the roof being on? Sound right?
Yeah, it does. I mean, there's even just, the process for prefabrication starts way before it even gets to the shop, with, the assembly set in the architectural plans and engineering drawings, like really coordination of what's being done offsite opposed to onsite. Thankfully, we've got, the new 1200 codes out from the ICC that are great guidelines for that. And I think we're going to see more and more companies, adhering to those guidelines. So, but just a lot of clarity. And again, I think probably speaking to B.Public's commitment to builders, a lot of our process, sort of pre-production, is around facilitating bidding and estimating processes. So people are able to, maintain profit margins that they're used to and not looking at prefab as a risk per se. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a big thing, right? And I'm sure, Edie, you can probably touch on some of this, because knowing what your costs are, right? There ain't a builder out there that knows that the lumber price is going up tomorrow or not going up tomorrow when they buy stuff, right? You guys have the ability to buy in bulk. You get the ability to sit on the product. You're creating a product that is very much, I guess, cost predictable, because you know what your costs are, just like you know what it costs to put an automobile or something else down a manufacturing line, an Apple iPhone, whatever. How important has that become for the developers you guys are working for to know that controlled cost?
I think it's extraordinarily important. We offer estimates based on schematic very early in a project so that, of course, the architects can consider all of the benefits and how it affects, MEP systems and even foundation type. We're rare in the industry that, first of all, we answer the phone and we respond to emails, but we also give estimates for single family homes and multifamily in a week or two. So we're really a partner in decision making. And part of that for us, Dave, is we may not be the perfect solution for a project, but for the project team to be able to decide early with costing and with that predictability, that go, no go should be just as quick to no as yes, because we really don't need to waste time. We don't need to redesign things. We need to know what the predictability and cost and performance is, because they're great ramifications to both.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. So just to be clear, right, you guys do single family. So if you're a consumer out there and they want, a B.Public prefab house, they can get that. Mm-hmm. If you're a developer out there, you have a solution for the developer as well in the single family market. But if you're doing multifamily, right, which you mentioned now, walk me through that, because if you can do multifamily, is it the same code as a wood structure? You go 4 or 5 stories on top of podium. Tell me that process real quick. So if somebody's watching this, can I do load bearing walls? How does it work?
Yeah. So it's a typical class 5 construction. Or type 5 construction. So we're basically pre-engineered for up to 3 stories. coast to coast. We can certainly do up to 5 stories, again, just aligning with type 5 wood frame construction parameters. So, one of the benefits of having multifamily is just those structures are inherently so much more efficient from an energy perspective than single family residences. And so a lot of times we're seeing, the demands on those R values or the performance requirements for multifamily assemblies are, significantly lower than single family residences, which really bring those costs down substantially. And there's, quantity has a lot to do with pricing as well. So, those lower or larger projects, tend to be able to leverage quite a bit more economy just from the repetition of those assemblies too. So, yeah.
Economy of scale, right? Yeah. It always works. And we just had this conversation. How do you get high design with a product approach? How do you get high design with a product approach? And that's what you guys are doing, right? You productize the building system that allows you to get high design, so much high design that it can be used in residential, single family, multifamily, and, light commercial, construction, which I think is great. All right, Jonah, I want to see the wall assembly because you earlier mentioned 2x4s, but that doesn't look like 2x4 or 2x6 construction behind me. It looks like an engineered wood product.
Yeah.
Walk me through what that is.
So this product here is, this is our fully thermally broken R35 wall assembly. And so this is a pretty complex one for a commercial project that we're building. And that was one thing I wanted to mention, Dave. So all of our projects are engineered to IBC. And so in terms of compliance, it's just a little bit more of a rigorous approach for engineering. So it's sort of nice in that way. But so we've engineered wood that's basically setting the depth of our panels. This is a 9.5-inch deep assembly. And then we have additional framing that's adjacent to that engineered wood just to increase the footprint for that bearing so that we have greater bearing capacity. And this panel right here is just about getting set up to receive membranes, and it'll be dense packed cellulose filled, and then a vapor control layer on the inside here. And I've got an example of that right here. And this is actually our 30 wall that we just launched with. All the assemblies, though, have Intello X, which is a vapor control layer on the inside, and then 2x furring for our service cavity. And one thing that's really unique about our panels on the market is that every panel is completely sealed or encased, and so that each one of our assemblies is basically a captive airspace, which is the more and more we learn about building science and so forth, the more we realize that convection through assemblies is just a huge culprit, both for building science failure, so movement of moisture or humidity through an assembly, as well as energy loss, accounting up to 67% of our overall performance beyond just the R value of the insulation that's specified. So we're spending more and more time really designing assemblies that are maximizing those captive airspaces, minimizing wind washing, any convection or vapor movement through the wall assemblies. And so that's really making a big difference. And we're really seeing that, that performance in the assemblies.
I have some questions on that wall panel. I'm going to try a different view here. Let's see how this pans out. That's not going to work. I was hoping it'd let all three of us in there at the same time. All right. Here, pulled out. Yeah. So I really want people to understand, because you got all technical going on. We got to break this down so the average person understands what you're talking about there. All right. So when you have your laths on there, the wood laths, right? That's where the sheetrock's going to go on top of. You're leaving an airspace, which is a good insulator and a good sound insulation. But you're leaving that space just so you can put your sheetrock on and the wires and everything run behind it.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. So, when we look at, and that has, back to a lot of the resiliency in our wall assemblies, if this layer, the sheetrock, is what in our systems and electrical and so forth, this is what's going to be manipulated over time during remodels when we retile the bathroom or we redo our kitchen. It's this sheetrock that's getting pulled off, and the electrical is being redone in there. But what that allows, then having a dedicated service cavity, then allows the overall performance, basically what we would call the bones of the project, really remaining undisturbed and intact. So it's not changing your performance. So
Yeah.
that has a lot to do with long-term durability for an assembly. You know, our dedicated air control and vapor control layer on the inside, this is really, really impactful, as I was talking about before. And so we really want to make sure that it has a lot of resilience and is protected correctly. So
let's explain that, right? Because here's where my thought goes to the average person watching this, to include developers and other people that really do not understand what you're saying. That wall, even though it is perfectly enclosed, has the ability to make sure moisture can get out from inside, right? Because as you're in a hot climate and a cold climate and you get condensation buildup, no different than taking a glass of ice water outside and all of a sudden it sweats all over your, beautiful wood table. Yeah. The same thing happens at houses. There is a thermal point somewhere in a house with a hot and cold meet. What you're saying is the material that you're using allows vapor to come out and lets it breathe, but it's not letting it in. Is that accurate?
Yeah, that's correct. So especially in in a cold climate, like typically that vapor drive is happening from the warm side into the wall assembly. So if we just had fiberglass right here, that warm vapor, warm air is going through the wall cavity and it's condensing on an exterior surface, like where warm air, like water forms when warm air hits a cold surface. So if this air was allowed to travel through the assembly, it would hit this outside sheathing. That's where it would condense, and that's where we run into structural failures. So there's a couple layers. Our first line of defense is to eliminate airflow through this assembly and to limit vapor from traveling into the assembly here. And then once we've done that, then our cavity, using dense packed cellulose, reduces the amount of airflow in that assembly so that it's not coming out to the sheathing as well. And then we also have an extremely vapor open exterior weather barrier on this outside, this is totally waterproof, and it's rated for 6 months of exposure, but it is still vapor open. So this wall is able to breathe out. Basically, vapor is able to move. Moisture is able to pass out of it from both sides. So that's a vapor open assembly. And that really is best practice when it comes to building science. So.
Yeah, that's what I was looking for. It is, right? It's really understanding how all of this functions and moves. And if you understand the science of it, which I still don't know how you can let water out, but nothing can get back in. I don't have that one personally in my head figured out yet, but I'll leave that to people smarter than I am. All right. So here we have a high efficient wall panel system. You guys are distributing, all over the place with 5 distribution centers now. You're working with developers, builders and everything. Training. The only way you're able to grow this as fast as you've been growing it is because you guys have put together and implemented a training program that helps people understand the entire process, whether they work for you or they're out in the field as one of your builders or developers. Edie, can you touch on this a little bit?
Yeah. Dave, again, going back to that collaborative sensibility around the company, we took it upon ourselves to create a bespoke training program for builders interested in bidding on and then being able to install prefab. There really wasn't anything else out there, so we created it. And there are a lot of companies that do their own installs, and we just choose to create a community around this work and train people to be the folks in the field implementing. So we've started a quarterly program, and folks come. I think Jonah can talk about all that we cover in it, but it's a 2-day program. We're doing building science and offsite and code and reading plans and the crane day in 2 days. So we're trying to make it really user friendly, and we pack a bunch in there. And I have to say, one of the best things out of it are, of course, the builders getting to meet each other
Yeah.
and talking about collaborating
Right.
on bigger projects and teaming up. I mean, that's what we want. And then, of course, the crane operators are the best adjunct professors you could ever ask for. They are dynamite. Last time they actually let the guys, run the crane for a second.
I love it for a
lots of fun.
second. Yeah. You know what? It's cool. You know what my favorite job was when I was on a set crew? I liked being the guy going like this, like this, this, and telling the crane what to do, because you can't always see where you're setting in panels and all that.
And so we teach that crane signal person training, like for the OSHA standards, and it really is great because a lot of times that it's something that the residential building sector isn't always formally trained in. Commercial has got it. There's a lot more sort of oversight on that industry, but residential market, sometimes gets left behind there. So we're really wanting to make sure when builders are coming into this sector that they're well prepared and they're able to do it safely and confidently there too.
Well, and that's it, because there is a lot of safety that has to take place when you're swinging things around and lifting things up, to include understanding how wind can be a major factor on a set day with a panel like that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So we've been putting the courses across the bottom here. I'm hopeful you guys are happy that we're just throwing that up there so people sign up. Hopefully your classes fill up each and every time, but every photo I've seen has seemed to be packed. Do you have a waiting list to get in the classes?
Yeah, we have an ongoing waiting list. We opened it up because we were getting so many direct emails that we just needed to create a list that we could reach out to folks.
Yeah.
It does sell out, and part of why it sells out quickly, Dave, is that we try and keep it small. Like really 12 to 15 people in the class is ideal. We have partners who come and do hands-on training and talking about the materials and the taping and what to do. So to get everybody around the table and be able to have, a space to work in, and certainly on the crane day, everybody wants a turn. So it's nice to have a smaller group so that everybody really gets hands-on with that. So we've got it coming up in April and then again in July. But it's quarterly, as long as we can keep going, because of course it's a big undertaking, and we love showing people around. We like hosting in New Mexico. There's usually some pretty good meals before and after.
Good. And beer.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. Just making sure.
We got to eat, right?
I love it. I love it. Well, but the training is a big part of it. My guess is you learn from people that show up there as well.
That's exactly right. And it's one of the reasons why Edie was talking about keeping it smaller, like typically under 20 people, is that we really want to, a lot of times people are coming to us because they have a prefab project that's on their books that they're going into, or they're looking at starting that, adding that to their toolbox. And so we're really wanting an opportunity to look at those projects one-on-one with people as well, and really make sure that we're providing guidance that are really specific to their region or their situation, whether it's multifamily or single family residence as well. But I think we have now around like 35 trained installers across the country, and that network is growing all the time, which is great. And as Edie mentioned, it's very collaborative amongst them too. So it's really growing that community as well.
So if I want to get involved with you, tell me my territory, or can I live anywhere in this country and give you a call and be like, listen, I want one of your homes. Is there a way that you can work with me through one of your partners to get that home?
Yeah, absolutely. And currently we're serving most of the US. We're not rated for hot, humid climates. So we're kind of working from Chapel Hill, North Carolina on up and across the country. So California to New York, we're serving folks. And I do want to be clear, like there are many ways that we work to facilitate projects. So homeowners can reach out to us directly for home designs, and we have some standard designs, and we have some collabs going right now with outside architects that you can purchase plans and adjust plans with our team. And we can do custom multifamily in-house. And then we are training architects, and we do a lot of one-on-ones with studios and doing lunch and learns to get folks who are interested up to speed on tricks and trade secrets around that. And then, of course, we're meeting with builders every day because they are the linchpin, right? They hold the key to all of our success, and we need builders who are excited and ambitious and, innovators in their own way.
Well, and that's it. And pay attention to detail. That's the big thing here. And you know what? I hope we get the consumer at some point to start asking for a better product, right? Talk to your architects, talk to your builders, say, hey, well, I saw this. And when they say, nah, it don't work, we tried that. You're just tell them to call Edie or Jonah and you'll straighten them out. So
yeah, and that happens a lot. I think I think it's maybe a function of social media or whatever, but it definitely, we have a lot of projects that are owner led to us. I think still at this point last year, we had, I think 70% of our production was from outside architects that are specifying our assemblies in their projects, and then around 30% that were being done, design work was being in-house. So, but I think coming from all different sectors, and usually there's one homeowner that attains the training program too, just wanting to know more about it as well.
Right.
So,
I love it. Is there anything I didn't cover that you guys want to leave with us today? I mean, we've gone through a lot.
Just to say thanks.
Can I jump in?
A great job too.
He is
promoting the industry too. I just really appreciate everything that you're doing across the country.
You're very welcome.
I would love to. Can I add just in terms of, serving developers across the country? All of you have seen the blue weather barrier. Our system is designed that a developer or anyone could take a standard plan and really finish it on the exterior and the interior in a way that's architecturally interesting, that's regionally appropriate. And we're not dictating windows and doors. We really are replacing just a portion of the build on site, but it still has that customization that we think is really important for success and flexibility. And of course, Jonah talked about this a little bit, but one of the great qualities of our system is that it's a super quiet inside environment. So all that insulation, of course, keeps you warm or keeps you cool with less energy. But if you're a developer working on a very busy street or near a train or something, you're creating a very comfortable, quiet, peaceful interior just from building, not from any kind of separation. It really is in the envelope.
100%. And if you're a framer, this allows you to do more building with less people. Because don't lie to me, I know you guys are out there struggling for the guys to show up, right? Even framers are struggling. This isn't taking jobs. This is helping you do more with less people, and there's value add in that because we need housing, we need multifamily, we need a lot in this country to change, when it comes to getting people off the streets right now. So I appreciate everything you guys have done and are doing and continue to do. And I look forward to hopefully having you guys on the show again here in the near future.
Thanks, Dave.
More innovation. Thanks. Oh, and by the way, where do they get that cool hat? Can I buy a hat with a patch or what?
You have to come to training.
I have to come to training. Go ahead. Give me the head duck. I want to see it. Not my bald head. I love it.
What about that right there?
You have to come to training. All right. So sign up for training and you get a free hat. That's what it sounds like to me. Edie, Jonah, thank you so much.
Thanks, Dave.
And the rest of you out there, you're welcome. And the rest of you out there, say thank you to these sponsors, and I'll come back to you too right after this. Thanks for watching. What an amazing show. Thank you to all of our sponsors for helping us to continue to bring all of these innovative conversations to all of you out there. Please visit them, see what they have to offer you. And as always, subscribe to the YouTube channel and ring that bell. It would mean the world to us. I'm Dave Cooper.